All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And now it's my pleasure to bring on a good friend, someone working hard for the people of the 22nd Judicial District. That's St. Tammany, Washington parishes on the North Shore. The Honorable Warren Montgomery is with us. And Mr. DA, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
Yeah, you are now in the midst of your fourth year.
Can you believe it? 4.5 years, almost 5.
Unbelievable.
Almost 5. Yes, really.
So far, you seem to love your job.
I enjoy it because we're making a difference. We're making a difference in the lives of the people of Washington and St. Tammany Parish. I came in on the heels of someone who is now in federal prison.
And what do you make of that? I mean, he's someone who had a 30-year career as a DA.
Yes. Well, what you've got to do, I believe, is to stay humble. I think the longer you're in politics, the more you become ego-centered, ego-driven.
Are you going to stop at 4 terms?
I'm stopping at 2 terms.
Okay.
I'm going to run one more time.
Right.
And if the voters reelect me, I'm stopping at 2 terms and just do the best I can during those 2 terms. I don't think it's healthy for me.
Because there's no term limit.
There's no term limit for district attorneys,
right,
nor for sheriffs.
Right.
Nor for sheriffs. So, but I think I have a self-imposed limit. When I ran, I told the voters I would only serve 2 terms. And so I'm nearing the end of my first term, and not this fall, but next fall, I'll be a candidate for a second term. And I feel very good about the work we've done. I have a great staff, good people working hard.
So you'll be able to present the voters your record, and you feel like it is a record that deserves another term. So let's talk about what you're most proud of. Let's talk about like the Fresh Start program.
Great. The Fresh Start program is an initiative that permits individuals to have their records expunged at a very good rate, a very good price, and on an expedited basis. Typically, if you or I get a misdemeanor conviction, particularly as a young person, but even as an older person, we get a misdemeanor conviction of a possession of pot, let's say, or of misdemeanor theft. I steal $50 from a grocery store or $5 from a grocery store. Nothing to be proud of, but I have that on my record. When I go to get a job, I have to explain every time to my employer something that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The only way to get that off my record, not only the arrest, but the conviction, is to have it expunged. And expungement is a lengthy process. There are about $550 in fees that you have to pay. Plus you have to hire a lawyer. That's going to cost you another $1,000, $2,000, and then it's going to take you 3 to 6 months. Many people don't have that amount of time and money, and so they just give up. And so what we've done is put together this program where on one morning you'll be able to come in and you're going to be pre-qualified, pre-registered for this, and we're going to waive our fees. The district attorney is, the sheriffs, Randy Seal and Randy Smith of Washington Parish and St. Tammany Parish, the clerks of court, Johnny Crane Jr. and Melissa Henry, they've all agreed to waive their fees.
Great.
And for $275, you're going to be able to get your record expunged, and it's going to be in a matter of 3 or 4 hours. Now, there's some qualifications and all that. It can't be a crime of violence. It can't be drug distribution and manufacture. It can't be a sex crime, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you have to wait a certain period before you can do this?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
And all of this is provided for under the law.
Wow.
All of this is provided for under the law. The problem is that many of us, many citizens who have gotten past this point and now they're looking for a job or they want to get an increase in salary, they're having difficulty getting that job because this conviction is holding them back. And they don't have the money. You don't have the money to pay for the expungement because you don't have a job, but you can't get a job because you don't have the money.
It's a catch-22.
And it's a terrible situation. So under this program, you can go to my website, damontgomery.org, and follow the instructions that they give you there.
Great.
And you'll be able to pre-qualify and pre-register yourself. And for $275 and one Saturday morning, you'll be able to get it done.
Yeah, and that's exciting for people that, deserve a new chance. Made a mistake, are willing to move forward, want to move forward, have an obstacle, and this can sort of help them get started in something that could be really exciting for them. So I think this is a great program. Now, we were talking before we started about your whole concept of DA as being a minister of justice. So tell us what that means exactly.
Well, the purpose of the district attorney is not just to prosecute cases and put people in jail. The big picture is reduce crime. Wouldn't it be great if we could eliminate crime like this Fresh Start program? Mm-hmm. If someone has a job, they're less likely to commit a crime.
Exactly.
It reduces what we call recidivism. Mm-hmm. So it's actually, the Fresh Start program is an anti-crime initiative. But there's also a context, and I want people to understand that the district attorney is fundamentally a minister of justice. And by that, I want to refer to a case, Berger versus United States of America, a United States Supreme Court case. And the Supreme Court justice said, look, the prosecutor is not like the typical lawyer who's going into court litigating on behalf of his client. The role of the prosecutor is to seek justice. That's his role. He's a minister of justice. And, you know, there's a quote from the Beatitudes, where Jesus says, "Blessed are those who hunger for and thirst after righteousness." Another word for righteousness, a better word, is justice. Blessed are those who hunger for and thirst after justice, for they will be satisfied. And so I want my prosecutors, when they go into court, to hunger for, thirst after justice. Not a scalp on the wall, not another conviction, not X number of years in jail, but justice. That has to be their motivation. And that's the principal role of the DA. And of course, we can talk about all these great cases we've had.
And that probably leads you sometimes to refuse cases, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a great screening department.
Right.
And, you know, the police make arrests, and police they're human too.
Right.
You know, when they make an arrest, they have to make split-second decisions. And so we have a screening department, which we didn't have under the to this extent under the previous administration, where we get all this information from the sheriff's office, from the police, and we review it, and we determine what the appropriate charges are.
So the whole nickname for St. Tammany of St. Slaminy, is that changing?
Well, I want the career criminal, the person who is in it to take advantage of other people, to prey on other people, I don't mind them calling me St. Slaminy. You know, I want them to think, let me tell you what, you come over to the North Shore, to Washington or St. Tammany parishes, and you commit a crime, you're coming over there to prey on people. In fact, I'll give you a great case we just had. It was last week, and it was a guy who was robbing elderly men in Slidell back in December of this year. He would go in, of last year. He would go in and he went into 2 homes and robbed these men with a pistol. One of them was a 75-year-old gentleman. Another one was a 92-year-old gentleman. So he's preying on the weak. He came in with a pistol into their home, took money, took weapons, took drugs, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the good news is, because of our screening department and other factors, we were able to bring this guy to trial in 6 months. He was arrested in December of 2018. Trial, May of 2019. That's a very short period of time. That's quick, and that's the way it ought to be.
Yeah.
Well, the second guy, and the second guy he robbed was a 92-year-old World War II veteran. World War II veteran, and we were able to get justice for him. So, and by the way, the sentence, this person, the person who was convicted, was 42 years old this year. He got a 38-year sentence. So he's going to be in jail till he's 80 years old.
Right.
And I want people...
And that's a crime of violence.
That's a crime of violence.
And that should be the case.
And look, that's not going to be expunged from his record. You know, but so I want people who are engaged in that kind of behavior to say, you know, maybe I need to go somewhere else besides Washington and St. Tammany parishes.
Right.
I don't mind it. I don't mind that guy and people who think and act like him think of St. Slaminy. On the other hand, there are a lot of other people who make mistakes in lives, and some of those mistakes are criminal. I mean, who doesn't make a mistake? Who hasn't made a business mistake? Who hasn't made a mistake in love or in relationships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? We all make mistakes, and some of those are criminal mistakes. And the law provides for our records to be expunged on these relatively minor criminal mistakes and give people a fresh start and a new shot at life.
All right, we only have a few minutes left, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Have you noticed any changes now in your cases with the jury composition now being unanimous jury now being required for these felony convictions?
It hasn't impacted us at all.
Okay.
Of course, that only came into effect January 1st, and only for those cases from January 1st forward.
So there haven't been that many?
There hasn't been that many cases.
Right.
We haven't seen it. And look, we know the result of that change in the law. And I was happy with the previous arrangement.
10-2.
And I'm happy with this arrangement.
Right.
I can live with it. Our prosecutor, there's a federal prosecutor, and I'm happy with either one. We know that as a result of that change, fewer innocent people will be wrongfully convicted, but more guilty people will be wrongfully acquitted.
Yeah.
And that's something we as a society have to live with. That's a decision.
Does that make it harder for your prosecutors?
It makes it harder, but you know what? We're up to the challenge. I have a great group of prosecutors, and they're not afraid of a challenge. Bring it on. If that's going to result in more justice, let's do it.
All right, 30 seconds left. As far as the crime situation in St. Tammany, we certainly talk about on my radio show all the time what's going on in New Orleans, 17 people shot during the weekend. Do you feel that is increasing in St. Tammany or not?
Statistically, our crime is not increasing. On a per capita basis, we haven't had an increase in crime. Hopefully we can keep it that way, and ideally we can drive down the percentage of crime, so to speak. We're growing. In St. Tammany Parish, the population is growing.
That's the amazing thing. The population is growing, yet the crime rate is not.
That's correct.
That's an amazing thing.
Well, we're ahead of the ball, so to speak. We know that we have a lot of positive things going.
Right.
We've got to work it. Don't
rest
slow
on
down.
your laurels. Huh?
Absolutely.
All right. Mr. DA, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, and keep up the good work. We'll keep giving updates to our great viewers. When we come back, one of my colleagues at WGSO is going to be joining us. He's got a new book out. We'll talk about it next, right here on Ringside.